Hey guys, today we'll be talking about how to stay motivated as a programmer. The first thing I can say is this field in programming has a stigma that programmers only think about programming 24/7, and that's all they do. That's all we think about, eat, dream, everything, right? But in reality, not everyone can do that, and also I wouldn't recommend anyone to be programming every day, all day, because it's not sustainable. There might be some cases where like some people really like programming and that's all they want to do, and they feel great doing that. And I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but most people you know would want to do something else, or like have a break of programming so you can fill up your energy bucket and feel better for the next day. So when you do actually program, you can focus and do your best job. Something about programming is that it is not physically taxing, but it is very, very mentally taxing. So you really feel like if you had a hard day, you really feel like you can't think at the end of the day, and you don't want to know anything about programming, or like you don't want to be touch you don't want to touch a computer at the end of the day. And that's the case for me sometimes, but everyone is different, so it might be different for different people. um, but if I had a hard day, I don't want to touch the computer at the end of the day. I don't want to know anything. You just want to go home, take a break, take a shower, relax. In other instances, there is times where I really program all day and for weeks. Like it might be a session where I find myself very, very, very invested in a project, and I really want to figure it out and do it fast. And it might be that I wake up, I think about what I'm gonna do, and I program a little bit before work. Then I go to work, program, and then after work, I keep going. But it's on my own. I'm not like doing overtime or anything. It's just that that project might be so interesting to me that I really want to just do it. And I might even work on the weekends just because I really want to do it. And that has happened a few times. Uh, but it's not all the time. I've done it a few times in my life as a programmer, in the last 4 years. Um, and it's a good experience. I mean, I'd say everyone will experience that at least once in their life as a programmer, but I wouldn't recommend it too much, because at the end of that session, that can last many days, even weeks, uh, you might be burnt off. And I I usually try to stop before I get to that point, and that's the best way to handle it. You stop consciously. You're like, okay, now that I'm feeling like I'm getting to my limit, I stop working overtime, and you only work the hours of your job. So that way you can relax, focus on something else. Go out with your friends or whatever. um, you can do any other activities that you like to do in your free time. That way you can recharge again, because if you go overboard, you won't be able to keep up with everything. It's pretty much it's overkill, and it can be really bad for you if you just keep going until you don't want to do anything. Another thing I do to stay motivated as a programmer is I work on my own projects. Like if I'm interested on something, I just look it up and see what it is about and maybe do a small project. And that's something I would recommend everyone to do. So like if you're interested on mobile development and you usually do web development, it doesn't matter that it's not on your field. You can, develop a small app and just play with it, play with the technology, see if you like it, and try different things. And that's a way to like stay interested in the field, because if you focus too much on one thing, it can be underwhelming sometimes, and you won't be interested as much. You will be like, yeah, I have to do that, and you'll just do it because you have to, not because you want to. And most of the time, yes, you have to do things because you have to do them, but you have to experience different things, in order to keep your mind occupied. Because if you're curious about some technology and you don't try it out because you work in a different field, then you're gonna get bored really easily. And I don't know if you think the same, but I have a very curious mind, and I'll just like all of a sudden I'll be interested in like home servers, like home labbing or something like that. Or maybe I'll be interested on developing a game, and I'll just look up some things. Or I'll be interested on 3JS, like to develop 3D animations and like video games, stuff like that. I just go and look it up, go and see, play with it. I might not commit a project to GitHub, but I will just play with the technology and see what it is about, and just experience some things, like have fun with the technology. And I think that's one of the best ways to stay motivated, to stay on the path, because you experience different things and you're like, yeah, I want to go and look at this, I want to experience this. And when you go back to, do your regular or like your normal job, you'll be in a better mind space, if that makes sense. Well, I think that's it for today. But before I go, I want to mention that I'll be making tutorials on Payload CMS. I'm just waiting for a microphone so I can plug it in on the computer and record, and record my screen and the audio at the same time. And it'll be fun. I think I'll be doing an introduction on Payload CMS first, like kind of explaining what it is and why would you want to use it. And then I'll be making a series about all the basic concepts on Payload CMS, like how to use the payload .config file and collections, access, stuff like that. I'll be explaining everything about how to customize the CMS and multi-tenancy, stuff like that. But anyways, I'll be just waiting for the microphone, and eventually, I'll start recording, making a plan, and then record the videos on Payload CMS. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.